We're tackling the informational interview in this episode of Build Your Dream Network. Why? Because too many people get this wrong, as in really, really wrong. Informational interviews are gold. So here's why I think most people get this stuff wrong. Somewhere along the lines of generic networking advice, someone likely advised you to reach out to a person you wanted to meet, flatter them, tell them how much you admire their career. Then, after you've done that, you ask them if you can pick their brain over coffee at a set day and time at a place you've picked out. For reasons I really do not understand, this guidance is supposed to make it easier for the other person to accept the meeting. Let's just be clear on one thing. It doesn't work. It is not flattering. Not everyone likes coffee. And this type of request, well, it shows no respect. This generic, I love your career, I want to pick your brain over coffee. It shows no respect for the expertise, experience, not to mention the time of the other person. Let me make a confession. I had no idea what I really wanted to do when my career started. I defaulted into a professional career because it was what was expected of me. And then I kind of jumped on the conveyor belt of law school to law firm without ever looking sideways to see if there was something else I aspired to do or had the passion for. So a decade or so into my career, I had the boom of wanting to make a career change, the boom of I'm not happy at the office, of boom, what the heck am I going to do with my life? All of this is a long way of saying I had to ask for and seek a lot of guidance, and I had to pursue a lot of informational interviews to find out what it was I wanted to do. So I really do know there's a right way and a wrong way to go about securing those vital interviews. Now, unless you're driving and listening to this podcast, this is the point where I want you to grab a pen and jot some notes down. So first thing first, you have to honor and respect the person you're seeking to meet. That person has likely spent years honing their craft, developing their expertise, and becoming that overnight success. I'm being a little bit sarcastic on the overnight success. It takes years, a relentless focus, and commitment to a career path to become an overnight success. Don't forget that. Don't undervalue it when you're seeking to get that person's advice. So, here's how I suggest you get that coveted informational interview. Prepare for it before you even ask for the meeting or introduction. So let's say you want to meet someone because you admire their career and want to know how they got there. First things first, go study their bio. Read their LinkedIn profile. Seek out articles or profiles about them. Yes, I am suggesting a little cyber stalking, but in a good way. Does the person publish a blog or a newsletter? Why don't you subscribe to it and see what they were talking about? Hidden in their commentary may be a tidbit or two that reveals how they got there in the first place, and it might actually answer the question you have. Once you have done that cyber stalking, reconsider why you want to meet this person. Okay, I'm not saying you shouldn't want to meet them, but if you've read and listened to and watched them on the materials you found online, you may have your question answered, as I've already hinted at, or you're in a better position to ask them the question about their career, to ask them a smarter question. Einstein was once asked if he had an hour to solve a problem, what would he do? His answer was, I'd spend 55 minutes thinking about it and 5 minutes solving it. I want you to approach the informational interviews like Einstein. More time thinking and less time firing off silly requests for coffee dates. Once you've conducted your information gathering and you've determined you still need to talk to this person, figure out if you have any mutual connections. LinkedIn is, well, it's not only a good tool, it is the tool to use. If no one immediately pops to mind who's a mutual connection, go to LinkedIn. And no, don't just email that mutual contact to say, hey, I want to meet this person, you know them. In your email, here's what I suggest. Detail why you want to meet this other person. Yes, let your mutual connection know you've done some research on the target introduction. Ask the mutual contact if there's anything they can tell you about this person. This is where you can gain some valuable insights, such as Joe hates coffee. Whatever you do, don't invite him for coffee. Or whether you should be direct, or if the person's on vacation. Whatever, you're going to gain some valuable insights if you ask for them. The last thing you do is request an introduction. If this feels like a lot of hoops to go through to get the informational interview, well, all I can say is preparation pays off. If your metrics for success are volumes of email requests sent out, by all means, continue to use that tactic. On the other hand, if success means getting an interview, spend the time preparing to meet the person. Besides, your research may unearth reasons why you don't want to have the meeting, so keep that in mind too. Okay, once you've been put in touch with the target, have your ask ready. No, not the request for coffee or a meeting. Rather, why is it you want to talk to them? What is the specific question or line of inquiry you want to explore with this person? For example, maybe someone has had a non-traditional degree for the field they're in. Maybe they've made a career leap that you can't quite grasp how they've made it from what you've been able to find online. I recently heard the CEO of Pfizer speak at a conference. His career started in veterinary medicine. Now he's a CEO. Frankly, I'd really like to learn how that happened, as most veterinarians I know are not cut out to lead global corporations. And here's a question I've recently been asked. What skills from your legal education and career do you apply in your career today? That's a great question for an informational interview for someone who wants to chat with me. The reason for all that prep work before you ask for a meeting is so you can ask a better question. And the more specific and precise you are, the more likely you are to get an answer. A general question might refer you to a blog or a video or maybe the book they've written, where you could have found the answer in the first place, and then you never get the chance to talk to them or have a meeting. Now, as for the meeting, you noticed I only said you'd get an answer. Let the person you've been hoping to meet suggest how they will deliver the information to you. If they answer in an email, thank them. You've got your answer. And yes, you've started a relationship with the person. If the person suggests a call because the answer is too complicated for an email, well, that's great too. Set yourself up in a quiet place with few distractions at the time of the scheduled call. From personal experience, there is nothing worse than being asked for information by someone who then parks themselves in a noisy location at the time of the call. If someone you want to meet suggests a meeting, go to the place at the time they suggested, because it's their time and expertise you're asking for, so let them decide. In any case, here's what you should do after that email or call or meeting. Send a thank you communication. Likely you'll send an email, but if you can send in a handwritten note too, do it. Just be timely with how you send your thanks. Send an update to the person who made the introduction in the first place and let them know what has transpired. This is really critical. You may need to lean on that mutual contact again, so keep them in the loop. Plus, connectors kind of get a high from making those kinds of introductions, so go give that person who made the introduction their high. Follow up with the person you connected with. Did they give you a tip, some guidance, something you've put into action? Let them know what you have done with the information exchanged. I can't stress this enough. This is super, super critical. This additional follow-up is the glue that makes a relationship sticky. That first meeting or conversation may have occurred simply as a favor to someone else. The thank you note you sent, that's courtesy. By following up, you make the relationship yours. That's all for now, and I'll see you next week.